Up, everybody? I am back. I was live yesterday and the day before yesterday talking about the Carrie Hilson situation, and I told you I would probably be back today. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a while. Where do I start? Okay, I've seen this question asked online for years. There are a number of people who believe that African American people don't really have a culture. Various people, including other Black people from different countries, who feel this way. This is a global thing that many people feel this way. I've heard Black people say, yes, we have a culture. When I say Black, I'm talking about American, um, at least for this video. Yes, they'll say we have a culture. And then some will say, no, we don't have a culture. It was taken because of slavery. I think that's an excuse. Yes, I do. Because the Africans that came over all had different cultures themselves. They were not even of the same tribes. So, and after being here for over 500 years. I mean, seriously, cultures can change and are formed all the time. So I don't use the whole, well, slavery happened, so you can't have a culture. They wouldn't have been practicing the same culture anyway because they were of different cultures. So you can form your own culture once the Africans mix with each other and then mix with white people and some with natives. I mean, seriously, it becomes something different. And you can start and form your own culture. There have been different cultures with Black people. Black people in America are not all culturally the same. For instance, Creole culture in Louisiana. You know, they have certain foods, the jambalaya, Cajun type of thing. The language, Creole or broken English or whatever, a mixture of French, English, and something else. A number of them can still speak. You also have Black people, even now, when it comes to religion. You know, Black people are not on the same page with religion. And the thing is when you are in different countries, there is a dominant religion usually. That's not the case with Black people. You have Hebrew Israelites, you have um, Nation of Islam, you have Christians, you have a few who are Buddhists. So they're not, Black people in America are not practicing the same faith. When it comes to food, there are things, well, that's considered Black food, American Black food. It is, but Black people don't all like it or eat it. You know, that whole stereotype about watermelon or chitlins and black eyed peas. I don't eat chitlins. I don't eat watermelon. I don't eat pig feet. I don't eat black eyed peas at large. I don't dislike black eyed peas. I don't eat it like that. I like lima beans with a smoked turkey neck bone. You know, I like collard greens. Black American, I'll say African American food, a lot of it is really good. Most of this country, the whole food industry, a lot of that comes from African American food. You know, the soul food, the collard greens, the turnips, the macaroni and cheese, the good way, not that box crap. Um, Fried chicken. Who doesn't like fried chicken is good. So I'm not ashamed to say I like fried chicken because it's good. But that's not the only thing. Plenty of things. The use of seasonings, you know, the grits, yes. So much putting some people like to put neck bones, the pork or the turkey smoked neck. It gives it great flavor, you know, and there are a lot of restaurants that's not Black owned that serve these dishes, and it comes from African Americans, you know. Um, Hold on for a second. Let's see. Let me see these comments in the chat. Juanita Smith, you said rap is not Ado's culture. Well, it did originate from African American men, and as quiet as it kept, also some Hispanics also helped create hip hop in the Bronx. You know, so I'm going to say some controversial things because, well, I have African American heritage and Caribbean heritage, but I wasn't raised in the Caribbean or anything like that. I know some of my relatives, but I'm raised in America, by my mother. So, but I'll say, let me get my thoughts straight. I'm going to ask the question when you call, the phone line is open. I'm going to ask you something. The controversial question. Do you like African American culture? Even if you're African American, you know, there are certain things people will bring up. It is true that as far as artistically, African Americans have contributed to the world and the arts. That's not good enough for me. It is wonderful jazz music, the origins of country music, R&B music when it was R&B music. Every culture has music styles. Yes, black people have that. African Americans. But there are a few things that bother me that I think I don't want to use the excuse of slavery because that's not an excuse for me. To me, culture is just practices. Practices, language. Yes, we speak English now. The Africans that were over here all spoke different languages. So what can you say on that? I mean, but a language, anybody can make up a language. I don't use Ebonics. That's not a language. And it makes no sense to have English as your first language and you cannot speak that properly or read it. That makes absolutely no sense. Okay, it's been centuries, so I don't. That's an excuse for me. Um, and not all black people have white ancestry from slave rape. There are consensual relationships, especially today, that have happened. But yeah, to me, culture is, practices, traditions, food, language, music. One thing that bothers me is when it comes to the traditional part, I think there is something lacking with that. And I don't want to use the excuse, oh, slavery. Like I said, culture also forms from things you accept, the practices you accept, sagging jeans, out of wedlock birth rates all over the place. That is a part of the culture now because it's been accepted for very long and it's very prevalent. And I don't accept those things. I don't know. No, no, no. I know things happen, but culture can be good, and there could be things in culture that's terrible that affects the culture and can bring a people down badly. And, you know, so I want to get into this, you know. The Queen Within says there's nothing wrong with having an African American dialect or patois. English is originally broken German. Ah, what is African American dialect? I know about slang words, but I feel you need to be able to understand and speak English. I don't care about the original language. You ain't been original African for centuries. It's a mixture. And even if it wouldn't matter, we've been in the country too long to not be able to speak English. And I'm not with the sound and slow stuff or not being able to put a sentence together. You know, even people that come here, immigrate here every month, eventually learn how to speak the language in the country they're living in, that they have to function in. Yes, Beauty for Ashes says we can do both. You know, oh, thank you, Lightsome. So, patios, I mean, I believe in the Caribbean, you speak patios, patois, or whatever. Creoles in Louisiana, I know they speak the Creole language. They eat the food known for the jambalayas and the Cajun spices and having their festivals, the French influence and everything like that. Let's see. Some things I'm hearing I didn't know was considered black, like Era Black TV says dominoes. Okay. I mean, I thought all people play dominoes. But all right. I've always said that a lot of American culture is black culture. I mean, black people have been here since the country was started, even before the Africans, the transatlantic slave trade, the indentured servants. There were black Africans that were here, and they had children with white women, indentured servants. Oh, I might get into that in the future. But most of the influence, in my opinion, has been artistic things and social things, but not necessarily. Eh, we'll get into this, when the calls come through. Okay, Ashley says, now I don't want everybody just in the chat because if I don't get no calls, I'm gonna have to close this live. South Carolina has the Gullah culture. Yeah, I think what Gullahs and Geechees, preserving their traditional African language in the Low Country. R&B. I have a few questions though. When it comes to, like I said, religion, back in the day, black people would have said Christianity. But I find today, no, it's a mixture of different religious faiths with black people. Um, Food, I mean, certain foods I like, some I don't. But when I think of black American food that's well known, again, you have the collard greens, the turnips, the mac and cheese, which is way better than that box stuff again, the baked mac and cheese. Um, Fried chicken, um, sweet potato pie. Oh, I love sweet potato pie. Sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie is okay. Um, Black eyed peas, lima beans. Ooh, some good cornbread. What else? Chitlins, pig feet. I do not eat that. Um, a good candied yams. I know people get mad about that watermelon thing. There was a big controversy about that, but I mean, I don't eat watermelon, but I know black people that love watermelon. You know, the whole thing comes from, on the plantations. They ate a lot of watermelon because watermelon has a lot of water in it. They were hot. It was a good nature's candy fruit, and it kept them hydrated. But I don't care for watermelon. Watermelon ain't sweet enough for me. I like grapes. Potato salad, yes. Yeah, I don't put no damn raisins in no potato salad. I've seen people trying to cook. No, 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 no. No, I ain't putting no raisins in no potato salad. I mean, I've gone to supermarkets, and I mean, I have tried some recipes cooked by some white people that was good. And sometimes I'm like, there's no seasoning whatsoever. I go to the supermarket and the devil eggs has nothing in it. I'm like, what? Lord, no flavor. I remember I went to this gas station. It was some potatoes and gravy and pot roast. I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna have something good. I ate those potatoes, I spit it right out. It tastes like water. The gravy tastes like water. I'm like, you ain't even seasoned this shit. So, um, black people are known for seasoning. Now, I don't like the over seasoned food. I don't like a bunch of salt. Sometimes some can be heavy on the salt. I don't like that. But, you know, I remember my grandma looked at me crazy because I got this from a white person and it was good. I was making sweet potato pie, but I didn't boil the sweet potatoes. I baked it, I roasted them. You can do that. You can roast them instead of boiling them. And my grandma was old school. So she was looking like, what are you doing? And I said, I know what I'm doing. It's going to be good. And it did come out good. But I think most black people boil the sweet potatoes before they put it, make the pie. You know, there's a woman on here. Oh, I wish I knew her name, but she's Italian. She became so popular here on YouTube. She had a show on the Food Network. She has a book, and I tried some of her recipes, and they're delicious. I've also tried recipes from a very popular black woman here, and I hated every recipe I tried from her. I've gone to, like I said, I have one of my most popular videos is called The Best Damn Cornbread, Jiffy Cornbread. I have like 100,000 maybe or close to that people that watch that, and I did not get one complaint. Everybody loved it, and I had to master the cornbread because I went to a southern, highly rated soul food spot in the South that was on the Food Network, and I was so excited. I'm like, okay, these are black people. I know they are gonna cook. They got to. They're black. They got the. No, I went in. I was so mad. The collard greens was on the stems. The cornbread was falling apart, and it didn't have no flavor. And this was an old black man cook, and I was thinking, what's going on? Are black people starting to not know how to cook no more? You know, and I said, no, I'm gonna master my cornbread the way it's supposed to taste like, and I did. And everybody, if you have not seen my cornbread video, check out my video, The Best Damn Jiffy Cornbread Recipe. And everybody has gone fool over it and said that it's the best damn cornbread they ever had. I'm serious. I had to tell you. Thank you, Katina. She says, not Gotti, a posh girl. She's on YouTube. Laura in the kitchen. That's her name. Laura in the kitchen. She can cook. That woman can cook. She's Italian. Italians are known to season their food. Okay. Um, but yes, Katina, you said I heard about that cornbread. I went and found the video to watch it. Seriously, if you haven't watched it and tried my cornbread, please do it. It's super fast to make and easy because it's the Jiffy. Jiffy is good, but you have to add some things to get it to taste like real Southern black cornbread. So there are things that I like, but there are some things that I don't like that, like I said, if you want to change culture, you can change culture, but everyone has to be on board with it. You have to stop doing certain practices and traditions. And even in different countries, I don't care how long people have been doing something. If the results have been disastrous and making people unhappy and affecting them in a bad way, get rid of it and change it and start a new culture. One thing I personally think when people say the culture thing, well, if someone was to write a book about your ethnic group, what would they say? What would you be known for that affected the globe in a positive way that people would want to emulate that makes it good? People R&B music, which has been taken over by hip hop, but R&B is very good. I mean, especially to me during the 90s. That's when it was at the best. Um, Soul food, when cooked properly, because Lord knows, whew, some people ain't cooking soul food the same, but when it's cooked right, anybody, I don't care who you are going to fall in love. You're going to love the seasoned, delicious food, the flavors. Okay, when it comes to politics, in certain countries, there are dominant. I don't know. It's just when I think of when you go to certain nations and you go to tribes and cultures, it's usually a dominant of everything. A dominant language, a dominant food, a dominant political view, a dominant religion. That's not the case always for Black people. And it's okay, we're not a monolith again. But I will say, I mean, the one thing I don't like is when it comes to marriage and dating culture, which exists on a global scale. There isn't one in America. That's my opinion for African American. No, it's not. Now, the most I can think of is jumping the broom. That is a part of African American culture because when slaves were not allowed to get married, they would jump the broom to signify marriage together, and they were in committed relationships. And biblically, you're still married if you commit to each other without papers and stuff. That's how they did it back in the day. But today, I mean, what's the tradition? What's the practice to get married? In certain countries, they do the arranged marriage thing. I'm not talking about the forced type. You know, the men have to sometimes go be educated before they're allowed to get a wife. They pay dowries in many countries in Africa, the Middle East, India. The dowry, something. What are traditions and stories made up that's passed down, to prepare you to be happily married? That there is a dating and marriage practice culture that does not exist to me with African American culture, and that affects most things, in my opinion. Let's just keep it real. There is not a marriage. Now, I'm not talking about just get together and get married. I'm talking about traditions, practice, something to prepare you for it. Nothing. Not coming to meet. There are no fathers half for a lot. So there is no coming to the house to meet the father. There is no special type of dress. The Mexicans have the quinceañeras or something like that. When the girl turns 16, they throw them big parties. She has a beautiful dress, and there's a dance, there's food. They celebrate her growing into a young woman. They do that, the Mexicans. I think it's called what's it called? The quinceañeras or the quinceañeras, something like that. But that's what the Mexicans do. The Black girls, we don't have a celebration to coming into our adulthood where we gather and we pick out the prettiest dresses, or there's a certain style of dress we want to do. And you come together and throw those, throw the celebration. The boys and the girls are there. Even with the gypsies in America, before they get married, I watch the show. They find the prettiest. That some Black girls do have sweet 16, but that's not common. That's not on average. I've never seen that in my life. That's not common. That's not a part of their culture. And that came from white people, American people, Sweet 16 on MTV. But yeah, the quinceañera, the gypsies in America, before they get married, they go to a certain woman, the Romneys or something. She makes these pretty little dresses for them. The boys gather and they go there to meet their future wives. They go there to court and find a wife. Now, do I think it's done too early? Yes, but that's what they do. They do that, and the boys are expected to work. The girls are trained from being little to their teenage years to cook and clean and their traditional meals, and the boys are raised that they have to take care of them and start families and provide. And they work and they do that. I don't know how they save up $30,000 for a party because from what I hear, some of them don't even complete school. I don't know what they do, but they do it. Um, but for us, there's no celebrations. There's no gathering to meet a husband and to wear the prettiest little dress you can find, even if you're not meeting a husband, just to celebrate coming into a womanhood. And, so no, I don't like that. I don't know why that could never have happened. It could if Black people wanted it to. We could have pageants. They always talk about low self-esteem. Well, why come there hasn't been a Black pageant started by Black people? I mean, Anybody could do that. But, so culture and practices, if people want it to be different, they decide as a group to do that. And I don't, beauty for ashes. Do I think African American culture focuses too much on black men instead of black women? Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Everything's about his supposedly failures and pain. No one, I mean, there are some things that should be addressed, which I might do this week. About 75% of black boys in California cannot read. That is an embarrassment and a complete disgrace. So we might talk about that. But I think if we're going to focus on them, it would need to be about the things that they need to improve, usually because the race has been dragged to hell because of their lack of ambition, innovation, and settling for this. Oh, I don't have culture because of slavery. If your ass wanted to have a different culture, you would have done that. If black people wanted to change culture, they could do it next month and say, okay, we are going to do this. Let's start this up. What's our beliefs? How we going to, how, let's, but I'm not for the women carrying it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I believe the women should have a say, but seriously. So again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm not for the slavery excuse as to why practices and have been the way they are. Because if it was so bad and you're so embarrassed or you're so upset, then you could create a culture. And the culture, I'm sorry, I'm going to say something. Yes, there is good things historically, but the culture has become degenerate, a number of it. That's why other people don't want to claim the culture. They might like some of the music, but do you see them always adopting that shit in their communities? They might listen to Lil Baby and Lil Wayne, but you ain't gonna see them Jewish and Arab men practicing that shit, making, if they're gonna have different baby mamas, it's gonna be a consensual polygamous relationship, not just randomly knocking up stranger women and getting you on child support with randoms all over the place. They might listen to some hip hop. Some of them even try to dress like them. And we're talking about them wiggers. But overall, they're not emulating the toxicity in their community, because if they did, their whole community would be destroyed. It would. And that's why people don't want to gravitate towards and say they don't want the whole black culture thing. Of course not. Because if they did, their community would be destroyed like black people if they were to practice all that, making babies all over the place with no marriages going on. Yes, that happens sometimes, but damn near 70%. Hell no, they don't want to have that in their community. Who, that ain't accepted on a global scale. Or the men not working, not providing, not knowing how to read, not being educated. So the culture at one point was very influential. It had great potential, and it still is some of that around. But as far as the culture of, let's say, having businesses, competing, marriage, traditions, celebration for the girls, that shit ain't happening. And it could, but black people, I hate when I see black people that just, they like one who accept, oh, slavery happened, so that's why. Or we're under a Deuteronomy curse out the Bible, so we just have to sit here and just stay cursed. It's just how it has to be. Or, oh, everything was taken. As if you would have all been practicing the same thing anyway being that the Africans were all of different cultures that came over. You know, if jumping the broom could start, if Creole culture could start, then there's no excuse as to why there hasn't been something more beyond putting on a good song and cooking up some good collard greens. What more? What's your moral culture? What's your spiritual beliefs and moral character culture? What is your preparation for marriage culture? So, you know, yes, there are people globally that like certain things from Black culture, as far as, you know, a good song, or, you know, styling their hair nice, or their you know. But as far as the community, no. You know, I hear a lot of people say people want to be Black but not really Black, because they don't want their communities becoming a disaster, as far as when it comes to men and women relations and dysfunction. They admire things. I think Black people influence people to have the courage to. Well, I ain't gonna say this, because globally there are plenty of people who march and fight and protest. You know, I think Black people, as in comparison to other Black people globally in America, they're not. Uh, they stand up a little bit more, whereas some other Black people, they will let. They'll let different people dog them the fuck out to their face, talk to them like a dog, whereas a Black person will curse you the fuck out over here. And that's just the truth. But I do feel the men are still a little more, they do the victim thing too much. Some of them do back down or are docile. It's true. Or they're too overly emotional and they ready to fight you. So it's a mixture. It's a mixture. I don't know. Hey, locked honey princess. You know, I think there needs to be a super purge of everything toxic that has come. You know, the whole hair color stuff, get rid of it. Cause y'all ain't gonna never look the same. That ain't been the case for centuries, so just get over it. The whole discrimination thing is wrong, though. I don't agree with that on both ends, you know, or prejudice and all that stuff like that. Um, R&B needs to come back. Good R&B. Hip hop has turned degenerate at large. African American men have presented to the world that they are a culture of men that want to run up in every woman of any race, leave them with kids, call her a hoe, a thought, a bitch. They don't want to pull up their pants. They want to rebel against everything that's considered classy and do the opposite, because they think, oh, that came from the white people. Well, yes, white people do have good culture, and they have some fucked up parts in history too. It's a mixture. You know, eating forks and spoons. I don't have a problem with that. There are many Black nations and other nations who don't eat that way. I'm not getting my nails done and then having my nails stained from eating with my hands. Forks and spoons comes from white people. And there ain't nothing wrong with eating no fork and a spoon. And I know in other countries sometimes they eat with their hands with the left hand or the right hand, because they wipe their butt with their left hand or something. But that ain't their fault, because the country is poor and they don't have tissue. So that's a part of certain cultures. Or it's just something passed down from long ago. Some people eat with the fork and spoon and they do the hand thing. It depends on the setting or where they're. Shoot. It depends on, my foot. It depends on, I guess, the event or what's going on. I'm not sure, but you know. The toilet that we sit on comes from the white man. There are some countries where they just put a hole and you have to squat over it. That's uncomfortable. So, yes, everyone globally has contributed culturally to the world something that's good, whether it's Asian people, Arabic people, white people, Hispanic people, some African people. Everybody has something, you know, you know. But there are also toxic things in every culture too. So don't think I'm just singling out, this, but certain things have to go that have affected people badly, you know, that make people unhappy, that affect their health and affect their mental health, affect their ability to grow financially, economically, that affect their children negatively. Uh-uh. Locked Honey Princess. I'm used to squatting when I visit my family back home. What? Hold on. Where's your family from? Because no, 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 no. Number one, I'm scared. I don't know if a snake or some insect's gonna come up on that thing. But tell me, Locked Honey Princess, I think you're Nigerian, aren't you Igbo? Of the Igbo people? I will be shocked by this because Nigeria to me is considered like one of the most, besides South Africa, you always hear about Nigeria as a little bit more up to date, a little bit. Okay, you said Nigeria, but it's not like that in every country. The world got to get together and no, every country should have toilets that we don't have to do no squatting. Every girl has access to pads and tampons. I'm not using no cloth. Hell no. Yeah, you can only squat for so long. If I become old or I'm really big, I can't do all that squatting like that over no holes. Especially going to the bathroom. Like number two, no. Hurting my knees and all that and my no, plus it's no, it's 2021. We need toilets, modern day toilets. I ain't doing all that. Only time I have squatted is if that toilet seat somewhere in a public bathroom was trifling. Giving birth, I would, if I'm gonna do squatting, look, I'm gonna get on my knees, but I ain't like squatting. I can't do that. I'm having contractions and the baby about to come out. I did hear it's better to get on your knees and like you're sitting giving birth because there are a lot of women who have severe tears that do not heal because of the way the baby's coming out. They said it's actually maybe a little better to get on your knees and squat when the baby's coming out. But yeah, I don't recommend squatting for no elderly person. Plus, I don't, I just feel like it's 2021. Like, no, it's time to advance. No. I understand if the country is extremely poor, but even if it's extremely poor, shoot, be innovative and create a different type of toilet. You know? And there has to be some type of toilet tissue, especially for a woman. Menstrual cycles and stuff. Hell no. I hear about in France the bidet thing. I'm not against the bidet. I'm sure. My thing is this: there needs to be toilet tissue available too. I'm not walking out with a wet butt and coochie wearing my skirt or pants and I'm on my menstrual cycle and stuff. No. Get some toilet tissue. I'll use the bidet and I'll wipe it because I don't want a moist, wet, private areas. Like, seriously. And I don't even, I'm just talking at this point. when I think of bidets, I'm like, okay, what if the woman before me was on her period though? She now had that water shoot up her, and then the blood is on the shit. HIV exists, and then I'm supposed to squat over the same water thing she just used, and her blood is still on that shit. So I think about stuff like that. Yeah, I need to see the bidet. Like I said, I have a squirt bottle. It's wonderful, but I still use tissue too because it makes no sense to you use the bidet, but you don't dry off. So you have moist, wet, private areas. That's a problem, especially you wearing pants or something. No, no, I need it dried off. And especially a woman on her period. Yeah, I don't even have to go into detail. She needs something to dry it off. Okay. Deborah says the bidet has a self-cleaning setting and an air dryer setting. Kana Quana Vey says Black American culture is like gumbo. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. Hmm. Wonder Dust says he used both, but the bidet does most of the work. Yeah, I'm not against the bidet. I just also need if you're in my house and I have a bidet, I guess that's besides the toilet. We'll have the bidet, but we'll also have some toilet tissue on the side too. I ain't no my home. I'm an American. I'm not going parts of Africa. If I were to, first of all, it's hot as hell. I hate heat. I do. I have to have air conditioner. So if I was living in Africa, the air conditioner has to be blasting every day. And I hate that there are no seasons. Like I need air conditioner. Period. Because I'm not living nowhere in no hot ass house without air conditioner. I need a refrigerator that makes ice. I need working Wi-Fi, top of the line Wi-Fi. I need tampons and pads. I need clean water. I need the foods I'm used to eating here in America available that don't cost damn near $20 for a piece of cheese. I need laws protecting women and children from domestic abuse and rape. I'm not saying all of Africa is like that. Okay, Asai, but I read. The parts of Africa that has the best infrastructure is known to be what, South Africa? Maybe some parts of Angola. Uh, I heard Nigeria was okay. Um, but what else? To educate me. Educate me, Isaiah. Because I read the number one safest place for an African woman in Africa is Rwanda. Rwanda, where the men killed up 70% of the men, which is disgraceful. Now is the safest place for a black woman. And most of them make money through farming. I'm not becoming a farmer. It's not ignorance. It's a fact. I didn't say that all of Africa is fucked up, but a good number of it is. As far as infrastructure, the economy, access to pads and tampons, women allowed to work and participate, women working Wi-Fi, working electricity, not going in and out every day. Laws protecting me if I get raped or beat, not cutting up my clit. I'm not one of these people that live in La La Land that Africa is some utopia. Not only that, people always think black people just hate Africa. Number one, is hot as shit over there. I don't like hot weather. I would only immigrate to one hot place, and that's for my husband if I was married to him. But believe me, we would have air conditioner. That's a must. Air conditioner is a must. If I'm gonna live somewhere hot constantly, I need working air conditioner in my house so I can blast it every day. I need clean drinking water that's cold, not no room temperature. And I need my Wi-Fi. Hold on, Isaiah. You're talking junk to me, but you're not educating me. What part of Africa are you from? And the women in America are not retarded. Black women are the number one entrepreneurs. Okay? The first millionaire woman here was a black woman. We are innovative. We are hardworking. We are loving. We can cook our ass off. But don't come up here trying to make it sound like Africa is a utopia. I feel for the African women. Y'all got them Asians over there building bridges and the infrastructure because the men can't do it. Shit. Babies being raped in South Africa because they think it cures HIV. Cutting up girls' clits still. Marrying girls off at 10, giving them fistulas from pregnancy. Poor practices, hygienic practices from food contamination in the healthcare. Don't get me started. And then relying on aid from white people. Shit. Don't think I don't read, because I do. If Africa was a little bit like America, millions of black people would have been probably tried to take their ass over there. But I always question why they didn't. They always talking about they hated America and all this. Well, shit, leave. They don't want to, because deep down they know they don't want to live the way African people live in most parts of Africa. Even Africans that come over here don't want to take their ass back to Africa. And that's the truth. They come to Africa or they go to Europe and they don't want to come back. And it's a conspiracy. And I ain't even gonna say it's a conspiracy. Why is it that they can become successful in America and in Europe, and they do very well? I said it before. Africans surpass African Americans in America. They're small. But my thing is, if you can do that, why can't they succeed in Africa? What's the problem? Is it that their education system isn't good and that the white man's is better or has more opportunity? How in the hell? I watched some of them videos. If Africa is so poor, why are you charging extreme amount of rent for a poor country? The people ain't even making $5, yet you trying to charge all this damn rent for some basic apartment that the people can't even afford. This makes no sense to me. I'm like, Africa, if the majority of the rulers are African, why are you trying to do toxic things other countries do? You can make the rules up in your own country. Shoot. I mean, it don't make no sense. If I was running an African nation and my people ain't even making $5, why am I charging you $400 rent? That don't make no damn sense. You can't even afford it. All that land, where the hell is all the vegetables being grown on the land and give out that damn food for free to the people? If it's your continent, why? Lord have mercy. Let me just. And yeah, y'all bringing up them corrupt. I've been hearing people from Africa talk about corrupt leaders since I was living, born. I'm tired of it. Every damn person you get up there is corrupt. Is that the culture? Don't talk to me about no damn white oppression. Don't talk to me about no white oppression and they doing that. That just shows humans just can be evil, period. Ain't got nothing to do with race. If I was a leader of Africa, we would make our own shit a positive culture. Number one, we gonna get one damn president and stop all this separate shit. We gonna do that. Isaiah, I agree. A number of African Americans talk about oppression. I'm not one of them. I said before, you must be new. I ain't never seen you over here. I don't do that. In fact, the victim thing has dragged the black people to hell, especially the black men. But yeah, in Africa, they need one currency, they need one president, they need to get rid of toxicity, such as vaginal mutilation, they need proper medical hospitals, mandatory testing, they need they need a lot, many parts. They need proper education on certain things. They need sexual health education. They need, and my thing is this, I know that they can do things because when they come to America and go to Europe, they're successful. So the big question is, why the hell isn't this the case in the continent and countries they come from? Is it perhaps the curriculums just isn't that great, or something's wrong? They also need laws. They need to stop marrying babies off. Shit. They need to get clean water throughout every nation. A massive campaign for that. And I know some people have been trying that for decades. And it's better in some parts, and some parts it's not. I'm tired of seeing women carrying fucking 50 pounds on top of their head on baskets and water to their homes while their men ain't doing shit. Putting all that stress on top of her head like that. And the women have been doing it for so long, they saying that's culture. The same way certain things happen in America. Sagging pants, the out of wedlock kids everywhere. Oh, now that's culture. And get rid of it. And stop having them women piling up 50 pounds on top of their damn heads. They wouldn't have to do that if they had working transportation and trucks and cars. And now the Asian man is there in Africa, given it don't make sense. I mean, I get it's a global community, but shit, they gonna take over Africa. And all I got to say, don't you throw American black people in that shit. It ain't our fault with that. The men don't know, they just don't know. They've been dominated and fucked over so many times and they still ain't learned their lesson, please. Maybe it just ain't meant for them to rule. A damn shame. If anything, it'd probably be a bunch of black women that could rule Africa and change that shit. But they'll never let that happen. It's a patriarch. They would kill the women before they would let them take over Africa and change it for the better. Shit. I have Cola Booth's book, written in the 1990s or early 2000s. She's what, Sudanese and Egyptian. She said she saw African men set a woman on fire in front of her because she kept giving birth to girls. Please. Or when you get sick with stuff, they go into fucking witch doctors that still exist instead of taking their ass to a damn hospital, which isn't even there in many parts. So there ain't nothing wrong with wanting to advance into the modern world and becoming better. There ain't nothing wrong with that. That's why they say education and knowledge is power. AKA stop doing dumb shit so you can understand. Okay? And that's globally, even in America. But I don't want to go off topic. Anybody want to talk? The phone line is open. There have been many people who swear to God African Americans don't have a culture. Now I'm giving African Americans the chance to call in and tell them, what is your culture? What is it? And do you like your culture? Shoot, we can even start a culture if we wanted to as Black women. Practices, traditions, a language, our music style, our beliefs. If we don't want to do certain things, we don't have to do that. Black people that preach that pro-Blackness, they don't even decide to gather together as a group, pick a state to live in, get careers, and only marry each other's families and start a new group and culture. That could happen too. They don't do that. They just complain and complain and complain instead of actually grouping with like-minded people and literally starting a community in a state somewhere, just like other people. I don't even think some of them think about this. Instead of trying to convince 45 million Black people to believe in what they believe in, it's never going to happen for some, because we're not the same. Yes, slavery still happens in parts of Africa. I remember in Cola Booth's book, I was disgusted. She saw these little African children. I don't know if they were Sudanese or not. They were chained up like a little dog to a door by their owners. Disgusting. But I don't have to say much. The African women speak for themselves when they call my show and tell me what the hell be going on. And I'm not for the shaming of African Americans not coming back to Africa. I have love for a lot of African women, but I'm keeping it real. The African American is not responsible for saving Africa. Africans threw them away, put them into slavery, helped with that shit, and now Africa was cursed and went to shit because they did that evil shit. And now, because Black people in America are the most popular, you trying to make them come save it now. If anything, where's my reparations from y'all too? In certain countries, if the DNA test, please. African Americans, they have Michael Jackson singing We Are the World, starting all those donations. African American people have always tried to help Africa. They're always claiming Africa, even though Africans don't even like to say they Black, some of them. It's always African American people. African American people are the reason why people saying they Black now. Wasn't nobody doing that shit. That's the truth. They're always reaching out to Africa or talking about Africa this, Africa that, even though they don't want to live in Africa, a good portion of them. There ain't never been no program to give nothing to African Americans from other Black people in Africa. But Black people in America do stuff to help Africans and always trying to reach out. And now Africans coming over here trying to make themselves the face of African American. And I'm not saying we're not all related, but I've seen that on some YouTube channels. I'm like, what? Now that's why the ADOS thing was started, because they feel like they're being erased and not seen as their own group. Are we all a part of the Black race? Yes. The Black race tree with different branches. I just think, it's about respect, and acknowledging, and, Africans all practice different stuff in Africa. They look different in Africa. But are they still black? Yes. You know. But yeah, like I said, there are, black people in America who they like African American culture and some don't, you know. But and then again, there are people who are like, oh, African Americans ain't got no culture. So, you know, I'm like, clear this up. Tell the world what is your culture. And I have a lot of love for you, Locked Honey Princess. So I hope nothing I said has made you upset. I hear African women, they come on my channel and they don't even like what's going on in Africa. And they don't like how they're treated in Africa. Marie Baker, are you going to call and tell me why you feel this way? Matter of fact, let me see. I can't see how many people is in here. I want to know. Check my phone. Okay, I have 86 people. I feel like this. People can respect our differences, but that doesn't mean you can't work together. That doesn't mean you can't marry, you can't like each other, you know. And that's what's missing with a lot of black people on a global scale. Like, you don't have to try to force me to say I'm the same as you and disrespect my heritage and my beliefs, but that doesn't mean you can't put that aside for the greater good of making the race better. People do this all the time of different cultures. They don't all like each other, but they put that aside, the men especially, to do business and to try to build up their community for the greater good. There are different sections in different communities. Even in the Muslim world, Islam, they have the Shias versus, well, not versus, the Shia and the Sunni. Those are two different type of, they don't completely do the same thing, very similar, but it's still a little bit different. And then the Jewish people, the Hasidics and the Orthodox, black people, you have Christians, Nation of Islam, Hebrew Israelites, but they're always arguing, trying to force somebody to believe in what they believe in instead of just accepting we don't. And that's okay. Think of the greater good, and you could still work as far as business is concerned to build up things. And I'm tired of the whole slavery white man bullshit excuse. It's irritating. I'm sick of it. That's all the whining. Culture was taking slavery. Okay, it's been 500 years and more, actually. Then change it. You ain't going to get 45 million black people to all do, you know, what you want. But if you find like minded people who agree with you, you could start there, you know. Sometimes there are black people that won't accept that some black people do not believe what they believe or think the way they think. Ashley says they eat fufu in parts of Mexico. I saw that documentary with Henry Louis Gates, I think, and they said, yeah, a lot of Mexicans, they're mixed with black, white, and something else. A good number of them from long ago. not too long ago, but a lot of them don't acknowledge that. Yeah, I remember seeing that this video, this woman from Puerto Rico. She was like, "Why come my people didn't tell me we had black in us?" And her grandfather told her the truth because she said they was eating the same food other people in Africa was eating. I think fufu was one of them too, or something extremely similar. And then she found out where it came from. Oh yes, Ashley Lauren. Angola and Brazil are closely related. Yeah, if you go to Angola, a lot of them have the same last names as Brazilians because the Portuguese were in Angola too. And most Brazilians are mixed with African and Portuguese. And a lot of Angolans are mixed with African and Portuguese. And they look very similar. Hello?
Yeah. You said call in?
Hi, Charles.
Yeah.
Okay, you see the topic is what is African American culture? I know you've been listening in. What's your opinion?
Well, number one, I got 3 subjects I want to talk about real quick. I know other calls are lined up. Number one, the culture that we got is stupid.
I can't hear you. What you say?
The culture we got is stupidness.
Okay, you said the culture is stupid. Okay, give us details.
Yeah, I'm having problems speaking because of my stroke. But my cousin told me you was having problems before you had the stroke speaking.
Okay, I'm sorry you had a stroke. So.
Yeah, that's part of my life, but you never know until it hit. But check this out. Okay, we just had Juneteenth, right? I mean, this ain't nothing new here. It's been going on forever. But I'm mad about the fact that you see this picture, video of Joe Biden, Master Charlie, and his bed witch, Kamala Harris.
Oh, you're using the bed winch? Baby, we're pro swirl over here. I don't use bed winch. I mean, if I do, I'm a proud one, but the bed winch did what she was. The bed winch did what she was supposed to do because she had no men of her own to depend on. But go ahead.
Well, she is what she is. We'll just leave it at that. We ain't gonna agree on everything. I'm the host of my own radio show, Radio Occupied America. That's America with a K, the German word. You see, and the fact is, I know what she's there for, to service his needs.
She's the vice president. She's there to represent the American people and do her job.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I mean, I only spent 20 years in prison, so I really don't know that.
Oh, you was in prison for 20 years?
That's another story. But I'm just saying that black folks, we need to wake up. We're being had. We're being used. That black woman that led the fight to make Juneteenth a federal holiday, she's bragging in an interview about, I got this 10. And I'm thinking, okay, all her life she been trying to get that recognized into a federal holiday, and she didn't get no tangibles attached to that. For us.
Hold on though. Juneteenth, I wasn't even celebrating Juneteenth before it became a holiday. Black people was the one always talking about Juneteenth. So they said, okay, they really are into this, so let's make it a holiday. I mean, the slaves, they became free, so let's do this. I don't really care about the holiday of Juneteenth. I'm not against it. I don't think it's anything negative about it, but okay, tell us more.
Well, make a long story short, I'm just saying she's waving the pen around like it's some kind of sacred ornament from Master Charlie, you know. And I'm thinking, she's doing all this walking from coast to coast. Bless her heart, she's 96. But that was her whole focus. How about reparations? How about compensation? Oh no, she's glad she got the pen. But check this out. Everybody, go look at the video. You'll see that Sheila Jackson Lee already had the first pen before she even got her pen. And Kamala Harris is hugging her like she's a great-great-grandmother. And I'm about to throw up.
Let me say this. Black people, there needs to, first of all, reparations, I don't believe is ever happening. Even if it did, we need to be clear on who is even getting reparations, because not all black people are descendants of American slaves. You would have to be able to prove that. And then it would have to be, I mean, how much do you think each black person individually should get who has American slave ancestry? And they could not be free slaves. We know they were free slaves as well. Well, not I won't even say free slave, free people. And black people who own slaves in America as well, especially over Louisiana and different parts. So who would be getting this reparations and how much?
Well, I hear you. You're talking on good point. But there's a video you should see. Can I give out the name?
Yes.
Okay, it's on YouTube called Corporation Nation. When you see this video, you're gonna be pissed off. It's about how much money the United States actually has invested in brokerage funds and whatnot around the world. The United States government don't just take your taxes; they invest it. And these brokerage and auction places, I mean, what's the auction? Equity, whatever. They know better not to cheat Uncle Sam out of his money because it will not end well for them. So the Uncle Sam makes a lot of money. You don't just get it; he invests it. And are you familiar with something called the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report?
No, I haven't heard that.
Okay, there's one for the United States government, one for your state, one for your city, and one for your county. It's like a stock. I can't pronounce the word properly. It's like an investment sheet that comes out once a year. The law requires your government, state, city, local to print it out, but they're not required to advertise it. The news media knows about this, but the average people don't know about it. I didn't know crap about it until I watched Corporation Nation. It's a 3-hour-long video, people, and so you might want to set aside a weekend or something like that to watch it, to learn what is a corporation. The city, the counties are incorporated. If anybody ever seen that movie, that Chuck Norris movie that came out in the 70s, about him being a trucker or something. Anyway, what's going on, the mayor of a small, unincorporated town was given a certificate from the state of California that said, we are now a corporation. At the time when I started, I didn't pay that no attention, but I'm paying attention now. Corporations are a company. That company can be sued. I don't know why black folks don't get it. They got the money. It's scattered everywhere. They don't have to advertise how much they got. It's not in the law. They need the white devil's mistakes, man.
Okay, hold on. There's a little bit of some confusion of what you're trying to say. So you said the government basically is using money to do what again?
They invested in brokerage firms, private equity. It's downloadable from the General Accountant Office. It's called the Comprehensive Financial Report from the United States government.
So are you salty like a neck bone? Thank you, Art of Aries.
Please again. I'm telling you where the money is. And how black folk paid into this system. And we got a big Mazda Joe or Mazda Trump who's out of office. But anyway, I'm telling you where the money is. Now we can get ours.
How we can get power?
Did you see the purge election here? Remember
yes.
the girls? What did she say? The purge is all about you getting yours, me getting mine. So I want mine. Don't you want your ponies, my sister?
My thing is this. The black man is never going to have power if you don't have any businesses. So how do you expect to get this money?
Let's be like the candy girl. Let's get ours.
And what you going to do? Are you going to get a business, get educated, and start a business that all people can buy from so you can become wealthy?
Damn straight.
And what is your business plan?
My business plan is to help other people.
Okay, and doing what?
Interest loan, like they do, like zero interest loan.
And how are you going to do this?
Did you know Muammar Gaddafi gave Louis Farrakhan a zero free interest loan?
Yes, he had a plan for Africa. I know all about it, and I think it's a shame that it wasn't even. It's a great thing, but even other African men leaders didn't even come up with these plans. But tell me this: what is your plan to be able to do this? You would need money, so how are you going to get this money? What kind of job are you going to have? What kind of business?
Uncle Sam got my money.
Uncle Sam has everybody, black, Asian, Arab, white, everybody that lives here has to pay to Uncle Sam. So what are you going to do as a business to get money?
Look, I'm getting my money from reparations.
You ain't getting no reparations. What are you going to do right now in your life as a business?
I'm getting my money, honey.
Really?
Look, don't you understand anything? When our grandfathers and great grandmothers picked that cotton, that it had to be taxed. The tax went to the state treasury, and then it went for export to Europe. Where do you think all them British costumes they wear in downtown Abbey and crap came from? If you do a DNA test back on those costumes made in Europe and the cotton here in America, be a complete DNA match. That means Europe bought the cotton, which went to the United States Treasury, which went into investments and shit. See, black folks don't get a clue.
All right. I understand that they use the cotton to make those Victorian outfits. My thing is this. You're not answering the question. Reparations hasn't been granted to African Americans in this country. You live in America. You said you want to start something to help people by having money to help them. So to get the money, what business do you plan on starting that can make you successful?
I don't want to be successful. I just want to help the people, give it out to the people.
How are you going to give them anything if you don't have any money?
The United States government reparated Japanese, and they partially reparated.
But they haven't given black people any. We don't see reparations coming, so you have to continue to live. We're not going to do that. Sit back and hope for 100 years for it to come. Nobody don't have time for that. Now it's time for action.
Well, okay. How about we can stop and get on top of ambulances and dancing and crap and doing the booty twirl and concentrate on getting rid of the CDC. But those Uncle Tom foolish.
You have a problem with the CDC, which brings in stats about healthcare diseases and help come up with cures for diseases.
I'm talking about the Central Black Congress, CDC.
Oh, I thought you said the CDC.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't hear you. Okay.
When Joe Biden came to Oklahoma City, did you know they had a Soul Train dance off, dancing over the graves of our ancestors? Sheila Jackson Lee got a little fat boo-boo out there on the cakewalk doing that old-time foolishness stuff to please Master Joe Biden.
Now, I do agree with you that most black politicians are in fact a failure at large. I agree with that.
I didn't know the old girl could get down like that.
All they do is talk about slavery. They don't acknowledge the black man is killing all the black children and women and men up. They don't like to acknowledge the problems that's going on that they helped cause. And they like to be little victims. So I don't like a lot of black politicians, you know. So, but I'll give you 3 more minutes. Is there anything else you would like to say?
Look, everybody that's listening right now, let's get serious. Call Sheila Jackson Lee and tell her fix HR 40.
Isn't HR 40? Hold on. Give me. I forgot what that's about. I heard it before. Tell us what HR 40 is.
It was started by the late John Collier back in the 90s, and Sheila Jackson Lee picked it up. It's a bill to study reparations, slavery. But you had old Walker Town like Danny Glover and shit, and this black football person about, I'm against it. Herschel Walker with his mentally retarded ass about, I'm against it too, and testified in front of Congress.
Okay. All right.
So. Search it.
All right. So I thank you for your call. Thank you. This was interesting.
One more thing. One more thing. We as black people can take Africa from them. And my plan to take Africa is to throw a neutron bomb over the continent, and then we go in for the cleanup and removal and settle back in our ancestral homeland.
Okay, so you want to drop the bomb over the continent of Africa. You know, we couldn't just, but you do know there would be radiation everywhere that would cause us to die and have cancer and all types of stuff.
No, I'm talking about a neutron bomb.
Well, how are you going to get the neutron bomb? Because black men don't have any nuclear bombs or neutron bombs. So how are you going to get this?
White people would be glad to give these to us if we agree to go resettle the whole continent.
Really? You know, it's funny you're saying this. The white people would help you get the bomb. But last time I checked, the Quakers sent black people to Liberia in the 17 or 1900s. They sent them to Liberia freely because they wanted you to go back to Africa and be happy, and y'all refused to go.
Well, my time is up, like you said, but
all right, thank you.
That's
bye.
My idea.
Y'all see this? I could have went off, but you let them talk. I don't have to say anything. You see this? This is y'all leaders, y'all future leaders, supposedly. Not mine, but this is who's supposed to be leading y'all. You see the disaster? I'm up on DoorDash right now ordering me some tacos. Okay, hold on for a second. A mess. And then he refused to answer the question, what are you going to do? I hate it. Black men always talking about helping and they going to do this. Why are they some of the only men who don't understand you need money to do stuff in this country? I kept saying, well, what is your business plan? Oh, I'm waiting for reparations. You've been asking for that for a long time and that ain't come. No plan, no vision, nothing. He just thinks it's going to fall from the sky. And then the same white people, they talk about, oh, he going to give me money or he going to give me the bomb to drop over Africa if they know we want to go back to Africa. As if you can't get on Expedia right now and order a plane ticket to Africa for like $600 to $1,000. As if they're keeping you in America and you don't have the option to go. Let me call somebody back that was calling in. Okay, give me a second.
Please state your name after the
tone. Oh, Lord. Okay. 312. I'm calling you back. Thank you, Simply T. Yeah, if you go on kayak.com You get on the app or online. I have seen plane tickets for like $60 just to go round to New York. So kayak, you will find the cheapest prices. Hi, this is Cerebral. I'm calling you back. Oh snap! Hold on, hold on. It's ringing again.
Hello?
Hi, this is Cerebral.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm okay. I think is this that real estate investor from Chicago?
And you know it.
Okay. So, yes, y'all.
So so basically I was just calling quickly about the culture. Does African Americans have culture? And the answer is resoundingly yes, we do have culture. And the culture is so complex and diverse that when you look at the geographic of where African Americans live in America, there are different cultures. So you have, people that live in the Northeast versus Southeast, Southwest versus Northwest, and the Midwest. And then even in those, you have different cultures. So look at people from St. Louis versus people from Indiana, people from Southern Florida versus say Georgia. So when you look at African American culture, it's very unique from our dress style, our conversation, how we do things, the food, the singing, the dancing, how we learn.
Hold on now.
So it's very complex.
I have a question. What is the dress style?
It depends on where you are. You know what I'm saying? So dress style in California, a black community in California will have a different style of dress than someone in Florida. You know what I'm saying? It's not exactly the same.
Overall, I don't like it. I don't like the slipper thing. I don't like the sagging pants. I don't like. I can deal with the Timbs and a white tank top and jeans like every now and again, but every day like no, the fitted caps every day no.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that is one aspect of the culture, but then you also have the professional culture, people who actually go to work, who are business people. They actually look different. You know what I'm saying? It from area to area. You know, straight leg pants versus pants with less taper, different styles of dresses. And one thing that you could rest assured that in the United States, when you travel from place to place, you would see a difference. But then if you were to travel outside the country and a person from New York would be, say, in Tokyo and they would run across someone from California, they would know that they're American.
Thank you, Poseidon McCall. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, they would know that they're American, even though they're from different parts of the United States. So our culture is very unique. We don't feel that we have culture because we are within the culture. We live in it every day. But if you were to go travel, you would see that your culture is totally different because someone from blacks from somewhere else, or whites from somewhere else, or Hispanics from somewhere else, they can look at you and say, "Oh, this person's American." So our culture is very complex.
But you got a lot of black people in America. They don't even want to admit that they have a very large American influence culture. Like the white people and the black people in America have a lot in common, despite the whole racism fighting stuff. There's a lot they do that's the same, down to the holidays.
American culture, yep. And see, that's the complexity and the complexity of it. American culture is very So let me just break it down like this: a black and a white from America has more similarities than a black and a white from, say, Russia. So you will see that the black and white the American black has lots of similarities because we have a particular way of doing things, communicating, and interpreting things. Whereas the black and the white from, say, Ukraine, they have a different way of interpreting things. Even though we still feel some type of connection between the black person from Ukraine, we still see similarities between the black person and the white person of America if we were to get put on different soil. You could go somewhere and you could recognize a white American as opposed to a white European, a white person from Germany if y'all was in Jamaica. So the culture is very unique. It's complex and it's something to be very appreciative of. Even though we don't feel it, it's something to be very appreciative of.
Hold on for 1 second. Thank you, ISX. I don't know. I don't always feel like I connect to what's considered what black is what they say it is. Like when I hear these stereotypes, I don't eat pig feet, I don't eat chitlins, I don't eat watermelon, I don't like current rap, I don't agree with the lack of marriage. I don't feel like I have a real community like these other groups. And they can say it's slavery all day long, but they jumped the broom. It's been centuries, so something could have formed. So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you 4 to 5 things. What is African Americans' religious culture to you?
African American religious culture. Okay, so that's very complex too. Because when you look at African American religious culture, the reason why I say it's complex is because we are intertwined with Catholicism, intertwined with Seventh-day Adventists, intertwined with Baptists, Sanctified, which is Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal. We're intertwined with all those things. However, when you look at a white Pentecostal versus a black Pentecostal, when you look at a white Catholic versus a black Catholic, you will see that there is a difference in how they praise God, how they interpret and receive spiritual blessings, different parts of spirituality. You will see a difference. So, if you just to say since we talked about Catholics, if you go to an all Catholic black church, that all Catholic black church will have particular customs that's totally different than an all white Catholic church, right? Because we implement our everyday culture into our religion. Because religion is really the people in the congregation coming together to pray. And so when you are a community that goes to a particular congregation, you're going to bring certain interpretations. And so therefore, Christianity, Islam, Seventh-day Adventists, all of them have a similarity to how they interpret God, even though that they have different core philosophies. That's why you can go to a mosque in the black community and feel comfortable, even though you don't understand what's going on. A black Catholic can go to a Baptist church, feel comfortable, and understand what's going on because we have particular things that we do in common when it comes to religion, how we practice religion, how we relate to religion, and then how we express religion. So, and that's why I say it's a very complex, even though the question is, does African Americans have something simplistic in the title? You really have to break it down very, very, very carefully and show how that there are similarities and there are differences. And those similarities is what unites black wherever we go that's African American.
Okay.
That's why the Nation of Islam could sit down with. That's why the Nation of Islam could sit down with a traditional Muslim, even though they don't believe in total philosophy. They still could sit down and share and break bread if they want to and be comfortable with each other. They just agree to disagree, but feel comfortable.
All right. My next question: what is African American food culture?
That's okay. Great question. That is based geographically, big time. Because when you look at okay, have you been to the museum in Washington D.C., the African American Cultural Museum?
No.
Okay, so when I went, they had this really, really interesting thing. They had in the cafeteria, they had red beans and rice, right?
Wait,
check this out. No, listen.
I like red beans and rice.
Yeah, okay, I thought you thought, okay, they had red beans and rice, but check this out, though. They had red beans and rice from South Carolina, red beans and rice from Georgia, red beans and rice from Washington State. All of them are different. All are prepared different, right? So when you talk about African American food, it's based on the similarities that we have, right? But it's also based on the geographical region, how we pretty much prepare those foods.
So tell me, what are foods you like to eat that's considered African American?
Okay, so I like all the beans, right? Prepared with turkey meat. You know, my mom, she started off with the ham hocks and all that. But I prepare with turkey meat or I can smoke different type of smoked meat, right? The greens. I can make the greens extremely healthy. Okay? I can take, this is uncanny, I can take some Chilean sea bass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And put some type of southern seasonings on it. Where that you will take something that is not necessarily traditional African American food, but make it African American to your palate. So I like the fish, you know, I like the rice and peas, I like the grits, the shrimp and grits. I like all New Orleans food. I like the barbecue. You know, I mean, just name it. You know, just name it. I like. Listen.
Hold on. Excuse me, really quick. I'm sorry. I'm looking in the chat. But hey, Vanetta. My thing is, she said the food culture is changing rapidly because of acute chronic health issues. We can unslavify the food. My thing is this. I mean, with these soul food is delicious. My thing is, I'm not heavy on the salt, and I don't really drink Kool-Aid like that. I have before, but um I'm not with that whole damn near a pound of sugar in Kool-Aid. We have sugar substitutes now we can put in the food instead of the sugar. But okay, what do you think about that? You know, do you think that the food is damaging?
The traditional soul food, you're talking about the traditional soul food is damaging to health. Yes and no. Yes and no. The reason why I say yes and no because if you look at, I've done extensive research with this one. If you look at the caloric content of the food, there is really no difference. Just the caloric. I'm not talking about, you know, the ingredients, but just the caloric content as far as the saturated fats, the good fats, the protein, the carbs. If you look at that southern food that we all in our head think of southern food versus Italian food, French food, Mexican food, there's really little difference in the actual caloric the calories. What's different is the amount of food that we consume. And then also what's different is in how our activity level once we eat or during the daytime. So then when you look at the large picture, not just the food itself, there's other factors that kind of makes it very bad. Because you could eat pretty much lots of things. It's just how much you're going to eat of it. So you have to eat it all day, every day.
Okay, so you're saying we eat large portions and we eat at the wrong times.
And less activity, exactly. That is part of it. Is the food bad for you? I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just that it's very calorie dense. Now, the thing that happens to us is that sometimes we want to add salt. We want to add lots and lots of things. That the fat is really not the bad part. If you just take, you mentioned ham hock, right? If you just take a ham hock by itself, right? The ham hock by itself, it has a saturated fat. But when you take the ham hock and then add a whole pound of salt, right?
Yeah.
And then you cook the green, so long that the nutrients are gone, you have something totally different. That's why you can look at soul food restaurants who take a step to make it very healthy. They do a very good job because they pretty much take these traditional meals and prepare them in a way that is very healthy to us, and then they will give you the portion size that you're supposed to have.
Yeah, I mean, you could make fried chicken and fried fish, but use canola oil instead of vegetable oil. Instead of rice, you can make the same thing, but just use cauliflower rice.
Right, exactly. Or rice instead of using the rice, the white rice that is stripped of the nutrients, the white rice. Get the brown rice, rinse it off, use that, and then use a measuring tool to give you the nice amount of brown rice, not a whole half a plate of brown rice. You know what I'm saying? So there's lots of factors into the Black American palate that has to be adjusted before you can say the food is bad. So, if we were to go to Italy and just pick out and eat all day long, we'll have the same health issue.
Yes. Okay. Now, I actually have to go in like 10 minutes, but I want to ask you one final question. I do think that there is a severe lack of marriage, a traditional practice culture with marriage and dating. There is no preparation. There is no celebration of womanhood with beautiful an event with a beautiful dress. There's nowhere to gather to meet husbands that's taken seriously. There's no sitting down with the fathers. There is no makeup or traditional. There's nothing. What do you think? What is African American marriage and dating culture?
Well, African American marriage, the numbers have dropped tremendously. The numbers. We all know statistics. We all know statistics that the numbers have dropped.
But what practices? Like in other cultures, there's preparation just to get married. There's traditions. There's events. There's dowries. I mean, what give us something,
Yeah, well, in the African American tradition, I think that if we was to look at this from, I know when you and I are we're close to the same age. I know that when I was in high school, right, prom was something very, very big, and most of the time, not all the time, most of the time it was people who were dating, right. So prom was very, very big, right, and so what happened is that we started celebrating things outside of marriage because everyone in our community has been told to get married later. Therefore, and that's the men and the women, get married later, don't get married at all. So therefore, the importance of marriage, if you tell your children don't get married,
hold on. Do you think that African American men's music influences Black men to not get married or believe in marriage?
I mean, the entire culture, all of us have been taught, this the men and the women. The men and the women have been taught to put marriage off.
Black women are not against getting married if they're in their mid-20s. The men aren't asking.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We've been taught to push it off, though. Because think about it. Marriage is very important. Marriage is only important in the higher socioeconomic areas. The lower, and actually, this is what I noticed. This is what I noticed. This is anecdotal, but this is what I noticed. I noticed the sooner people are economically independent, they will do marriage.
But I will say this before. I get what you're saying, and I love your phone call. I think you're wonderful. But I will say this. I don't always agree with you. You know that. But like Vonda said in the chat, music is a heavy influencer of the culture, and African American men, their music at large preaches anti-love, anti-marriage. Let's make random babies with random women. She's a hoe, she's a thought, she's a bitch. Don't ask me for any money to help you. They support being degenerate, and these young guys follow it, and I'm not shocked with the way things look now. The women have been indoctrinated with all this bullcrap. And I will have to, and not just getting married, but like I said, what about like Vanetta, when I said celebrations, I mentioned the Mexicans have the quinceañera type of thing where the girl at 16, they throw a party for her and she picks out the prettiest dress. The gypsies, they pick out a pretty dress, and the guys who are being trained to be a provider, they go there to meet their future wives. We don't do anything like that.
You're right, but because when you look at those people, when you look at each one of those demographics, they're very insular. Very insular. So the Jews, very insular. They look at the Jews looking for someone that's Jewish. The Mexicans looking for someone that's Spanish. But what you would see, this is what you would see though, as those groups get more into American culture, their traditional culture starts to go away. You would find third generation Hispanics very rarely speaking Spanish, right?
But they still hold on to the marriage culture. But I'm not trying to be rude. I actually have to go, y'all. I'm sorry. This was so good.
Hey, great conversation.
I might do a part 2 to this. So, thank you. You told a lot, and everyone who called in. So, thank you all. Leave it in the comment section what you think African American culture is. All right. So, bye everybody.